This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Well, hello and welcome back to Research Talks on Stockbox with Alan Green. So, Alan, how are you doing at the end of another week here?
Yeah, yet another week flies past, Mark, and bites the dust. So here we are at the end of the week, and I'm thinking, goodness me, only seems like a few hours ago was Monday. But
Indeed,
as we know in this business, in the markets, you know, the old saying, markets never sleep, and that's how it feels, really. So here we are. Friday morning, but yeah, I've done an awful lot this week. Spent a day in the city meeting a lot of old colleagues yesterday, so that was good.
Okay.
Good to catch up, and yes, yeah, very good. Markets just sort of seem to be holding up okay. Some good stories on the resource front, so yeah.
Indeed, yes. Well, we're going to be talking about maybe a couple of them today with Golden Metal Resources, who have been we talked about before, of course, a big flagship project over in the United States there, the Pilot Mountain Tungsten project. They seem to be doing making waves with regards to that, and of course the whole tungsten and uranium idea that they partner with Oxford Sigma. So I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how they progress. But we've got a new company we're talking about today, VVV Resources, and I'm not familiar at all with these guys. So looking forward to seeing what I can learn. But I think you're probably going to start with Golden Metal.
Yeah, starting with Gold Metal, Mark.
Sure.
Gold Metal, of course, Epic code GMET was spun out of Power Metal Resources. May, well, it was May this year, I believe, wasn't it? First day of dealing. So the company's absolutely blazed a trail since coming to market, and I think it's been gratifying to see that even though, as we said previously, the resource stocks arena is really taking a pasting at the moment and has had a difficult year. Gold Metal have continued to perform and to build on their portfolio, and they're really there's a real sense of value and a focus in the company in developing their projects. And of course, with Power Metal Resources, the if you like, the parent company has a multitude of projects around the world, and their business model is to spin these projects out. And of course, Gold Metal is firmly focused in mining-friendly Nevada. It's a mining-friendly jurisdiction. The industry is built around a unique geological backdrop with an abundance of high-grade underground mines, large open pits, kaolin-type deposits, and it has the highest mineral wealth in the USA. And of course, given the macro picture, given the geopolitical backdrop worldwide at the moment, the US is becoming, I think, more and more protectionist, and it's looking inwardly to source its own mineral supplies. And of course, the US plans to ban any future imports from China, I think from 2026. And so that really has created a very strong opening for companies that are US focused, that have projects, particularly with the Pilot Mountain project that I'll cover in a second. It gives them a real opportunity to engage with the US government and, of course, create those all important takeoff agreements. So Gold Metal is currently trading 8.8p, gives it a market capitalization of 7.5 million. Hasn't really moved, well, it has moved higher since the IPO, but if you look at it, from a chartist perspective, it's quite a nice, steady building chart. We've seen highs at 10p, and then the stocks come back. So we saw lows around sort of 8p during the summer, and of course it dipped very briefly in June. But that sort of 8p floor seems to have held up nicely. The stock dipped to 8.5p, so that's that shows to me a nice steady building picture in terms of valuation. And of course, it's underpinned. We just heard the announcement this morning, Mark, that the company has been admitted to trading on the OTC QB market, which is of course the US market, and that gives US investors an opportunity to buy into that story of a company that's supplying minerals, to the US government. So the board, just a word on the board. Oliver Friesen, of course, is the chief executive. He's done a terrific job since the IPO, and also prior to the IPO as well. I think he was very good. I interviewed Oliver, and I know you have on many occasions, Mark, and he's very good at articulating the investment case and covering all of the projects, which I'm going to do in a second. And of course, backed by the board, Scott Richardson Brown, who actually has now stepped aside, Mark Barnett and Mick Billing, and of course David Avadia, the chairman. And a new appointment announced a few weeks ago. JT Starzecki was appointed to the board of directors. He's based in Minneapolis. He's a global business executive with many years' experience in the mining mineral space, and also an expert in US government affairs and business strategy. So currently as the chief marketing officer at 5E Advanced Materials, which is a NASDAQ listed company. That company is becoming a vertically integrated leader in boron advanced materials. So he's very much engaged in the space for metals and minerals that are used or that have various applications. And of course, there's a particular application with Golden Metal's 100% owned Pilot Mountain project, which has a mineral resource estimate of 12.5 million tons of tungsten, and is far and away the largest undeveloped tungsten resource in the USA. And indeed, we've heard from Oliver over the year as the project has developed. An extensive amount of analysis was undertaken, both across the Desert Scheelite West, the Porphyry Depths, and the Desert Scheelite East targets, which were noted highly prospective new targets for further tungsten, copper, and zinc prospects. And this, of course, is hugely important. And I think we've heard from Oliver recently and seen how that's developed. And on the back of that, of course, we have a tungsten-focused MOU, which was announced earlier in the year, and that, of course, is with Oxford Sigma. And I know you've spoken with the guys at Oxford Sigma, and this is, of course, to help them develop the technology, what they believe and can contribute to the fusion energy technology that Oxford Sigma are working on. And this, of course, is a key step forward in, I think, validating and bringing forward the Pilot Mountain project to closer to fruition. And of course, it's always difficult with these projects. You've established the resource, you've got the JORC resource estimate, it's in the ground. Then, of course, it has to be extracted, and the manner in which the metal is used, of course, is the subject of a lot of research, and it takes time to bring that to fruition. But Oliver and his team have really worked hard in that regard and have progressed it. So on the back of the developments for the company, on the 1st of August, broker First Equity published a buy note with a target price of 35p for the stock, and that's based on it's based around the developments, of course, at Pilot Mountain, and of course the fact that GMET in June started the application process to obtain non-dilutive grant funding to assist fast-tracking exploration and development at Pilot Mountain. And we're seeing a lot of funding sort of from the US government going into projects around the world. I spoke recently about Blencow Resources. Of course, they have a graphite project in Uganda, and they've just received a grant, or the first stage of a grant, from the US government to develop that project and bring that project to fruition. So the US government are very active and will provide funding and non-dilutive funding for these projects, which of course is key. If you're a shareholder in the business, that money's coming in, the project will get fast tracked, and there's no further dilution, which is it is the ideal outcome for shareholders. So in addition to Pilot Mountain project, there are several other projects in the portfolio, and these all group closely together. So if you look at a map of Nevada, you'll see Pilot Mountain, and then to the south, you'll see three other projects. The Golconda project. This is a 100% project. It's an earn-in. It's Golconda's based at the confluence of the Getchell, Battle Mountain, and Eureka projects. Rock sampling has been undertaken there. 11 out of 32 samples taken revealed gold grades of 250 parts per million, and 6 of those returned 500 parts per million. And some of the trench zones, all the work near the historical trenches there have yielded some pretty strong grades too. 7.6 meters at 19.7 grams per ton gold, and another 15 meters at 7.1 grams per ton gold. And the geology that's revealing itself at Golconda supports the presence of a significant Carlin type gold system. And of course, Carlin means that invisible microscopic gold particles that are hosted in sedimentary rocks. So of course, this is quite a common way to find gold, or it's quite a common situation to find gold in. But it does mean that, of course, given Nevada's mining friendly state, given the great infrastructure and routes to market, it's a very strong prospect. And indeed, when I spoke to Oliver, he believed that Golconda could be a real sleeping giant. So there's going to be more to come from that, no doubt, as the year progresses. Then we move to the Garfield project. This is east of a town called Hawthorne in Mineral County, Nevada. Initial rock sampling revealed up to 6% copper, 3.5% grams per ton gold, and 124 grams per ton silver. The company also discovered 2 significant copper zones there, the Powerline and High Grade Zone, and these return really strong copper readings and in soil results. And again, this is it was retested recently, and it's just again evolving as a project and adding value to the gold metal investment case. We then have the Stonewall project. This is a quartz vein project. It's just over a kilometer long. Sampling there returned just over 1 gram per ton silver and 160 grams per ton. Just over 1 grams per ton gold and 161 grams per ton silver. And again, this is potentially a sleeping giant for the company. Then, of course, we have the Kibbe Basin project. This was brought to the group in July, and Kibbe Basin adds a new dimension to the gold metal investment proposition. Of course, there are 2 claim packages which are prospective for lithium, and these are based less than 250 meters from a drill hole that was drilled last year, 2022. And that revealed 169 meters of lithium brine. And again, it's attractive because it's sited less than 5 kilometers from Pilot Mountain. So as an operating company, of course, logistically, if your projects are far-flung, then logistically it makes it more difficult to operate them. But in this case, the package of assets owned by Gold Metal in Nevada are grouped closely together. So again, this is adding further value to the group. Now, First Equity, when assessing the project valuation, they used a risk in the ground valuation approach, which gives a base case of just under 45 million sterling, comprising of the existing resource and exploration potential. So at 44, the actual number is 44.8 million, equates to 35 pence per share. So of course we are some way off that at 8.88 pence per share, but I imagine the US listing that has been announced today will certainly add to that and provide further impetus for the company. Of course, I mentioned Power Metal at the start. Power Metal is still a major shareholder. It's the largest shareholder in Gold Metal Resources. It owns 62% of the company, and that shareholding, of course, is locked in to May 2024. But I don't imagine they'll be selling anytime soon, given the progress that Oliver and his team have made. And I think as a standalone investment proposition, Gold Metal probably offers one of the most focused mining investment packages you could ever consider. And of course, it has the added attraction of the fact that it already has this takeoff agreement. It's working with Oxford Sigma, and it's on the road to securing that non-dilutive funding that will be so important to take the business forward.
Indeed, yes. Well, very important to take the business forward. But as we said before, they're certainly taking strides to get that funding with the appointment of various board members there, specifically involved with liaising with the US government. But companies can talk a game, but actions speak louder than words. And I see the actions here with Golden Metal Resources, with the appointment of the board to talk with the US government, with the partnership there with Oxford Sigma. I mean, these guys are going to work together for synergies in the tungsten market because tungsten's used in nuclear fusion reactors. And I think Oliver told me that I think the reactor walls are like 20 meters thick of solid tungsten or something, and there's nowhere near enough tungsten around to do that. And okay, people say fusion, well, we've been talking about it for 30, 40 years and it's never happened, but it's always been there, hasn't it? And it always gets closer, and almost every couple of years there's a big breakthrough. And actually, funnily enough, just as we were talking there, I was on BBC News website there, and there's a headline, German engineering. Can German engineering solve the challenges of fusion? So the government have made some funds available, 370 million euros there for funding for nuclear research and development. So, it's not going away. And there was that breakthrough, wasn't there, not so long ago, where they actually managed to get a net gain, which is obviously the holy grail of nuclear fusion. So, I mean, Golden Metal are certainly putting the money. Well, they're doing the right things. They're showing that they're really serious about this. So, let's give them some time, and hopefully they get active on that Pilot Mountain project. I mean, as you say, they've got lots of other projects as well, but it's the Pilot Mountain one that really piques my interest. It's been around for a while, of course, with Thor mining, throughout the years. So, I believe that they do plan a work program fairly soon. So, thank you for giving us that, Alan. Looking forward to seeing how they carry on.
Well, so just pick up on your point there about nuclear fusion, Mark. Of course, I think given the proliferation of different technologies around, and the cost of even using an old coal-fired plant and perhaps improving the emissions, the costs are still enormous next to nuclear fusion, and the amount of effort and cost that goes into getting these plants to work and generate power versus installing and commissioning a nuclear power plant, the cost difference is enormous. It's quite simply the most efficient, and it's the most efficient and clean way to generate power. So I think with the tungsten alloy technology that they're developing with Oxford Sigma, I think it's a really interesting dimension to this. And of course, that coupled with the fact that the US has gone very protectionist and is looking inwardly to source its own tungsten supply. Pilot Mountain is going to become very much more important over the next 6 to 8 months.
Indeed. Okay, well, let's move on and talk about VVV resources, and I have just loaded them up on the internet here, and I can see that VVV stands for, well, actually it says formerly Veni Vidi Vici. So I came, I saw, I conquered.
Yes, I think that's probably a historical acronym. Of course, the company has evolved rapidly. The two key directors, Mahesh Palandran has been director at the company for a while. He's been in financial services for 20 years, worked for Deloitte, and he's advised various blue chip companies over the years. And he now runs the trust division of Corporate Asia Advisory, and is based in Singapore. But the real change for the company was with the appointment earlier this year of Jim Williams, and I've known Jim Williams personally for some years. And Jim is by he's a professional geologist, and director and CEO. He's been CEO of AIM-listed companies in the past. But his real strength is in due diligence studies, and he's been called as an expert witness on many occasions in mineral litigation cases. That's working for AIM-listed companies and TSX-listed companies, both here and in the US. And he's also published many reports. For example, a diamond study policy in Sierra Leone was undertaken for the UK government's Department for International Development. So his real forte is in undertaking a careful due diligence and assessment of projects and opportunities in mines and minerals. And I think that's really that has really sort of put VVV on the map in that regard. So the company currently, before the announcement yesterday, which I'll come to in a second, the company is of course Aquis listed, and it has really a minute market capitalization. It's trading at 10.5p, gives it a market capitalization of 383,000, which is absolutely nothing at all. Shares have traded as high as 22p on the year, but the company prior to yesterday has a 51% stake in a project in Western Australia called the Shangri-La project, and this is a project where historical assays. It's a vein project which has produced historical assays, 5.3% copper, zinc, 22 grams per ton, gold, and silver as well. An exploration target of over 30,000 tons, average 33,000 grams per ton silver, 5.6 grams per ton gold, with copper and zinc deposits. So that project has been operating for the last couple of years, but there's been little progress. So Jim has been working on bringing a project into the company, and the company announced yesterday that they had acquired the Mitterberg project in Austria, and of course the project's based in the Eastern Alps. It's 60 kilometers south of Salzburg. I'm familiar with the area. I was there on a trip a few years ago, and the region contains just under 200 contiguous exploration licenses covering 90 square kilometers, and these are valid to the end of 2027. A detailed technical report was prepared some months ago by a geologist who is a specialist in the region, Reinhard Wagner, and Reinhard undertook work on the concessions in 2022, fulfilled work programs to keep the concessions in good standing, and those are valid now to the end of 2027. But the region is famed for copper mining historically, going all the way back to prehistoric times. But the more recently, the mining work took place between 1830, started in 1830, all the way through to 1977, at which point the mines closed due to low copper prices. But some 120,000 tons of copper has been extracted from the region. There are some 200,000 tons of copper-rich mineralization, roughly 1.4% copper, was mined over the every year, sort of up to the 70s, and it's the project area in total is the largest, what we refer to as the largest copper occurrence in the Eastern Alps, and is very much a brownfield site. So in that regard, being a brownfield site, of course, that means there are lots of historical adits, access tunnels, and all the rest of it, where the geologists have been able to go in and conduct those assessments. So so the company announced yesterday it had undertaken a share purchase agreement for £350,000, less £20,000 fees from the previous share purchase agreement, to acquire the project, 100% of the project, and that was payable. 297 was payable in VVV shares at 0.10p, and there was a £33,000 cash payment to go with it as well. So as the region itself stands, that there's a comparison with a UK and Austrian company called Echo Metal, and that's run by a geologist, Liam Hardy. This company operates 4 projects around Salzburg and the Tyrol, covering also many historic mines and workings. And the company have undertaken some sampling and test work across their license areas. In August 2023, from the Land Salzburg Grossal license area, they extracted samples containing 5.1% copper from the Astonfern target, 3.7% copper and 1 gram per ton gold from the Frauenkogel target. 25 of the 62 samples taken were in excess of 0.5% copper. So that's a very encouraging reading from those historical workings. So of course we have this information. There is no JORC mineral resource estimate for the project at Mitterberg, but what Reinhard Wagner has done, he's used the yardsticks that would normally be used through the JORC process to put together an assumptive valuation, and this is based on the average grade of 1.4% copper taken from the historical data. Indicates that there's a total of 45,000 tons of copper in the ground there. So calculated at the current price, around $8,000 per ton will give a potential value in the ground of some 360 million. Now, obviously, that is just based on historical data using industry yardsticks. So that process or the process of firming up a JORC-based mineral resource estimate has yet to be done. But obviously, based on that, and also, referring back to the work Jim Williams has done, with his background, this has piqued my interest, and I think VVV, together with the Shangri-La project in Australia, does warrant a much closer look. Also, just to say with that, of course, with the copper that's mined, there will be nickel and gold byproducts from any mining work that's undertaken as well. So, as I say, in summary, you've got a company that's got a valuation of £385,000 on Aquis, which is derisory.
Very low.
It now owns this project, and that's a really exciting step forward for the company. Obviously, being in the Eastern Alps, you've got very good road, rail access. Salzburg Airport is, Munich Airport's very nearby. You can get a train to Salzburg, be there in a couple of hours. But I know the area, having travelled through there on a motorbike, and it's it's in the Alps, yes. Okay, so that's from an access standpoint, some of the topography might be a bit challenging, but the access roads are very easy, the access to all the sites very easy also. So looking forward to the next steps that the company will take along the road. But as I say, this sort of valuation, it's an absolute slam dunk no-brainer, I think.
Well, that's low, isn't it? I mean, gee, I mean, what's the cash shell value of an AIM stock? It's about
exactly
600, 700,000, isn't it? Roundabout, just for the cash value of an AIM stock. So I mean, there we are. That's even below. I mean, obviously it's on Aquis, but that's well below what even a cash shell would be valued at. Because they did have the Australian. Is that binned off now, Alan, or is that just a legacy project?
It's a legacy project. It's
Yeah.
still there. What will happen with that in the longer term, I don't know. I've no doubt the company will make an announcement, or they may decide to continue working it. I mean, there's the historical data there points to, or the historical assays point to a decent exploration target. So how that will get worked, I don't know. But I would imagine in time, if this were my company, I'd be looking. Well, Austria is a lot closer. It's easy to get to. It's a very low risk jurisdiction. Lots of help, and also I think given that Echo Metal are already operating in the area, they have a team of geologists on the ground. I think there's opportunities for joint work projects to take it forward. But that's me speculating. Of course, we don't know yet.
Yeah, indeed, and of course it's only recent news, isn't it? Only yesterday this news came out. This is Friday we're recording this, so Thursday that news came out. So it's the first sort of stage, isn't it? It's the acquisition there, or the SPA, the share purchase agreement. And just looking at the comment there, the last line, we look forward to advancing exploration on these licenses at the earliest opportunity. So really, yes, it's very much like we've got this now. Now they've got to tell the plans to the market effectively and get out there and explain a bit more. I guess that's really where we're at, isn't it? It's very right at the start now here, hence the valuation at the moment.
It is, yeah. It's right at the start, but as I say, with this piqued my interest. Certainly having known Jim for many years, I know Jim's caliber. As a geologist and a company CEO as well, and he's exec chairman of the company. And I think we're going to see some fireworks in the coming weeks and months.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for introducing that to us, Alan. I always like to hear about a new opportunity. Let's keep an eye on it, and we'll circle back to VVV resources at some point. But for now, thank you very much for your time, Alan, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Mark. You too.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.